Hey guys, welcome back to the third episode of Politically Razi. I'm Sarah Razi, your host, and today I have a special guest star joining me.
Hi, I'm Ashley. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
The pleasure is all mine. Today we'll be talking about abortion, Roe v. Wade, and the Jane Roe documentary. But before we begin, we would like to establish that we are both pro-choice and believe that women should have the right to make decisions about their own body and for the government to stay out of it. Roe v. Wade was a 1973 landmark decision court case of the Supreme Court in which the U.S. Constitution has the right to protect a woman's choice to have an abortion without government restrictions.
Abortion is defined as the termination of a pregnancy, which can be performed via medical procedure or medication to remove the embryo, fetus, or placenta from the uterus.
The Jane Roe documentary consisted of Norma McCorvey telling the story of her life, the court case, and her transition from pro-choice to pro-life, and most importantly, how she was paid by evangelical organizations to appear as pro-life to win over the satisfaction of restricting abortions.
As Norma McCorvey began to represent the pro-life movement, the pro-choice movement became distrusting of her, and many still are today, even after the release of AKA Jane Roe. The pro-life movement argues that life begins at conception, therefore implying that abortion is murder. However, the pro-choice movement recognizes that life is sustainable at later stages in the pregnancy, noting that an abortion terminates a placenta, an embryo, or a fetus. The pro-choice movement focuses primarily on rights to bodily autonomy.
With further ado, let's jump right in to answer some questions asked by conservatives in order to defend the pro-choice argument.
What happens to women that want an abortion but are unable to get to them due to state laws or insurance issues? When people have limited access to abortion providers and therefore their right to have an abortion, many will perform a self-abortion, therefore putting the individual at a severe health risk. Additionally, in some cases, people have traveled a far distance simply to have an abortion performed and exercise their rights. An individual may have no other choice but to raise the child, which has caused some children to be faced with resentment from their parents, and in some cases even abuse. In cases where the child is placed for adoption, the child may be placed in an overcrowded foster care system where they'll wait for years to be adopted.
Number two, but healthcare doesn't kill or harm the individual, so how is abortion considered healthcare since it terminates the life of a fetus? Well, healthcare does kill and harm. Oftenly, healthcare has to harm in order to be part of the greater good. Turning off life support is a great example of classified healthcare. Or when you have an organ removed like a kidney, that leads to serious and long-term damage onto a person. Chemotherapy is also the radiation that kills every cell in the body, healthy or unhealthy. There are three possibilities for cancer patients. A, the cancer kills them. B, chemotherapy kills them. Or C, chemo works but leaves them with a weakened immune system, which leads most cancer survivors prone to infections. And if someone brings up the oath of do no harm, that's incredibly false because it has been changed from the original version to fit modern society. According to PBS.org, it states, but it may also be within my power to take a life. Pretty clear if you ask me. Also, healthcare is defined as the organized provision of medical care to individuals or a community, and medical care is determined as the provision of what is necessary for a person's health and well-being by a doctor, nurse, or any healthcare professional. Therefore, in many ways, abortion is necessary for a person's health.
If we ban abortions, won't it reduce abortion levels? Not necessarily. As noted in Roe versus Wade, a ban on abortions has led to a rise in illegal abortions and self-inflicted abortions. In illegal abortions, individuals may have a medical professional perform an abortion, though it is often unsafe due to a lack of access to necessary medical equipment. Many illegal abortions have led to severe or fatal injuries for the individual. Self-inflicted abortions pose similar risks, as the individual can cause severe harm to themselves while attempting to self-abort.
Number four, is abortion even medically necessary? Well, this question is incredibly ignorant and dangerous. So dangerous. Lies like this have cost lives. There are countless examples where abortion can be medically necessary to save the life of a mother or to end the pregnancy due to several fetal abnormalities. Examples of saving the mother include ectopic pregnancies, which can never go to full term, partial miscarriages, which means that an abortion doesn't occur in the fetus and the fetus will begin to decay in the woman's body and she could die from septicemia. To also say if the mother's life is in danger, I think abortion is okay, is very ambiguous. At what point do you say her life is in danger? When she's on her deathbed, or to acknowledge the fact that every single pregnancy is dangerous and has a chance of going wrong at any time? It's arguable that most abortions happen because women don't want to risk putting their health on the line. According to the American College of Gynecologists for Reproductive Health, abortion is medically necessary, and there are situations where abortion is pregnancy termination in the form of an abortion is the only medical intervention to save a woman's life. As physicians, we must focus on protecting the health of a mother without question, and abortion is medically necessary. Well, that wraps up our questions. So, with further ado, here's our opinions on abortion and the Jane Roe documentary.
Norma demonstrates grifting. The pro choice movement cast Norma aside, and she was facing financial hardship, therefore prompting her to garner attention and money by joining the pro life movement after working in an abortion clinic for years. She has problematic behaviors. Though Norma has faced her own set of hardships, that doesn't necessarily right her wrongs, especially when she previously disregarded the pro choice movement and expressed prejudices towards other religions and the LGBTQ community. As a pro life activist, she engaged in public relations techniques and willingly partook in such activism. She went against her morals, but there's a lesson here. Grifting only leads to a life of guilt. In Norma's case, the costs seem to outweigh the benefits of money, as seen as she makes her deathbed confession. She wasn't the poster child. Norma's actions showcase why there's distrust towards her in the pro choice movement, plus the duration of the charade. Ultimately, though, Roe v. Wade is crucial. Someone's problematic behaviors can't undermine the right to an abortion. Even before this, Norma was deemed problematic after she lied about being raped simply to get an abortion, even though it was a subject of the times. The pro-choice movement is about all the other people who deserve the right to choose. The case isn't just Norma. There are far more places than Norma, aka Jane Roe. In Roe v. Wade, the plaintiff is any individual actively seeking an abortion, especially in cases of limited access. It's about others, not just Norma. It's about preventing an overcrowded foster care system in which these children are forgotten once placed for adoption, or cases in which the children is neglected or abused due to the parent not wanting the child to have been born. People have the right to choose an abortion if necessary for their circumstances. A child should not be born into suffering.
Excellent point, and I have to agree with that. However, as a pro-choice activist, I've always advocated for women's rights and their bodily autonomy. After watching the Jane Roe documentary, I realized that Norma McCorvey was born into a poor family with financial and mentally abusive hardships. However, this has no effect on the pro-choice argument whatsoever. Women of all types of financial backgrounds can get an abortion, give the child up for adoption, foster care, or raise the child by themselves. Roe v. Wade was never about Norma McCorvey to begin with. It was about if women were allowed to make the choices they want and how immoral abortion is to religious groups. Norma McCorvey took part as Jane Roe in Roe v. Wade because she felt as if women should be the only ones making the choices for themselves about their body and not the government or religious organizations. Everyone knows abortion is a sensitive topic, but I believe that a woman should make the choices for her own body without the government having a say in it. How can a woman ending her pregnancy threaten the government and its power whatsoever? The answer is control. For centuries, women have been degraded as to following orders from a male superior, and they are subjected to being stay-at-home domestic wives, and are taught by society that they are only necessary for childbearing. This thought process is incredibly awful and wrong. Therefore, the only difference between a man and a woman is simply one has two X chromosomes and one has an X and a Y chromosome and their sexual organs. We are all human beings and are capable of making our own decisions. I'm supportive of both pro-choice and pro-life stances, and I believe that the reason why women choose abortion is because they are terrified and have little to no support and are familiar with what goes on in the foster care system. Millions of children under the foster care system are neglected, abused, and threatened, which creates discomfort between both pro-choice and pro-life activists. The answer is clear, and what we need is foster care reform in order to guarantee those children in the foster care system will have a future and are protected. It is our job to protect the ones who come after us. I am supportive of whatever decision the woman makes, and society should support her instead of dividing among it. For my pro-lifers out there, you have the chance to help the woman raise the child instead of giving her hell by calling her a murderer. For my pro-choicers, help the pro-life advocate for foster care reform. Abortions will never stop, and if we make them illegal, we will only encourage unsafe abortions, but we can create a better and a hopeful world for young mothers by reforming the foster care system and by providing a new life for the unaccompanied children.
Bye. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
The pleasure is all mine, Ashlee. Thank you for coming on to my show. You're amazing. In conclusion, talking about issues such as abortion can be tough and traumatic for women that have undergone one, and everyone, regardless of being pro-life or pro-choice, are entitled to their own opinions. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you liked our video, hit the like button below and don't forget to subscribe. This is Politically Razi signing off. Peace out.